little hand upon the throttle and the eye upon the rail. Blessed say that will guide us till we reach that blissful shore where the angels wait to join us in thy praise evermore. Make sure Christ is your conductor on that mighty train called life. Always mindful of obstructions. Do your duty, never fail. Keep your hand on the throttle and your eyes upon the rail. Blissful shore where the angels wait to join us in thy praise forevermore. Where the angels wait to join us in thy praise.
Proud to induct Art Greenhaw. It's been a long time coming, a few years. Art was so good to us. A lot of you know this. Some of you attended programs that we had out at Art's Place on the downtown square there in Mesquite. And he let us set up our museum memorabilia for a couple of years there. And I had my little studio in the back. And we just had a great time. And he just blessed us with that. And so that we have so very much to thank Art for. On this date, November 7, 2015, in recognition for a lifetime of commitment and devotion to gospel music as a singer, musician, producer, songwriter, promoter, and supporter of all things Texas. Art, give him a big hand. Anyway, but Daryl's our other, he's just been working on the project with a number of Grammy winners, and Art's our Grammy winner, and we're just so proud of this time. Art, thank you for being patient and waiting. Say a word.
Notice how a piano player didn't want me to keep my guitar on. That's a piano player for you. We kid Randy, he plays bass. He's a real important part of the Light Crust Doughboys. So glad to have my mother with us, big inspiration for me, sitting next to our state representative, Cindy Burkett. So many wonderful friends, Terry and Misty and Mike, and so many people that have been so much. I'm thinking of Hebrews 12:1, where it talks about the cloud of witnesses. And we've got so many people watching over us, not only here, but people that have gone on, whose shoes we're trying to fill. People have been such an inspiration to me. The great Calvin Wills, James Blackwood, Gordon Stoker, my biggest influence in music, my dad, Frank Greenhaw. Let's continue to run the race. Thank you so much to the board and the trustees and all the members of the Texas Gospel Music Hall of Fame. The cloud of witnesses are watching over us. We'll do our best to run that race and finish it. We can hear, "Well done, good and faithful servant."
In 1970, gospel music started airplay charting. That had been going on for a while in the pop music world, but now, about 45 years ago now, gospel music has its own top 40 hits. There was a song back in the 70s that became #1 in August of 1976, and it stayed #1 until October 1977. 15 months. Not 15 months on the charts, 15 months as the #1 gospel song in the country. No other song, before or since, has ever come close to that. It was a song called "Learning to Lean." It was sung by the Blackwood Brothers, and it is no accident that that song featured Pat Hoffmaster. The bass singer on that clip, Ken Turner, sang with Pat all through his Blackwood Brother career, every night. They became extremely close. I called Ken Turner this week. I said, "Ken, we're inducting Pat into the Texas Gospel Music Hall of Fame." I said, "Anything you want me to tell the people in Dallas?" He said, "Absolutely. Tell them that he thinks, and the Blackwood Brothers think, that Pat Hoffmaster was the greatest tenor that ever lived." And I think there's a lot of people that would agree with that. We want to induct Pat tonight. He passed away from cancer in 1988 at the age of 40. And his wife, his widow, Joanne, is here, and many other relatives. A good group came up from Houston tonight for this. And I want Joanne and any family member that would like to come up, we'd like to give you this plaque, and we'd like to induct Pat at this time into the Hall of Fame.
I can remember the first time that I heard "Learning to Lean." My dad and I were sitting by the radio, and how the tears just flowed in my face. One of the most beautiful sounds I ever heard. And I didn't get to know Pat until 2 years before he passed. But I happened to get his phone number from a mutual friend. And I called Pat, asked if I could come to see him. He was gracious. And he met me at the front door. I went in, and we had some time together and talked about Southern gospel music. That's always been on my mind. And we prayed together. And I had other opportunities to see Pat in those 2 years. But he was special, so special to me, even not knowing him for very long. And what a wonderful impact he made in my life and many, many others in this world. We'll never forget him. What a wonderful man he was. Tonight, I would like to present this plaque. The Texas Gospel Music Hall of Fame is proud to induct Pat Hoffmaster November the 7th, 2015, in recognition for a lifetime of commitment and devotion to gospel music. As a much-loved gospel singer and quartet man from the great state of Texas.
Thank you so much. My dad loved the Lord, and he loved to sing about the Lord. And this means so much to us. My daughters never knew him, but this has given them a chance to know a little about who he was and how much people loved him. Thank you.
We're here to induct one of Texas' greatest piano players into the Texas Gospel Music Hall of Fame, Mickey Vaughn. Mickey started taking piano lessons from Jack Taylor, and as they say, the rest is history. A year or so later, Mickey was playing piano at her church. In fact, through the years, Mickey was the church pianist for 4 different churches. All of them had top-notch quality music programs. She started playing for revivals, Bible conferences, and retreats. She played for music evangelists like Jack Price and others. She played in citywide crusades with the Bob Harrington team. She played for Ann Criswell and the Frazee family and became a frequent Sunday night pianist at First Baptist Dallas. For years, Mickey was a studio musician at Rainbow Sound in Dallas, and she played on scores of albums. Mickey also taught piano at the Stamp School of Music. And when the legends came to town, they called Mickey to play for them. People like Jake Hess, the Weatherfords, James Blackwood, Jim Murray, Rosie Roselle, Ken Turner, and others. She also played for the Impacts during the 70s and 80s and was a member of Thorns and Roses from 1994 to 2012. In the 90s, a Gaither-like video was put together that featured the best gospel singers and musicians in Texas. It was called Gospel Deep in the Heart of Texas. And the producers asked Mickey to be the main piano player on the project. And along with Henry Slaughter, Mickey helped start the Piano Roll of Honor at the Grand Ole Gospel Reunion, honoring the great piano players in the history of gospel music. Quite a resume.
Awesome. Good, thank you, Ben. The Texas Gospel Music Hall of Fame is proud to induct Mickey Vaughn. There it is right there. In recognition for a lifetime of commitment and devotion to gospel music, as a much-loved gospel pianist and supporter of gospel musicians everywhere, and I mean everywhere.
When I walked into Jack's studio as a shy, nervous 11-year-old, a long time ago, I never dreamed I'd be standing here tonight. But I thank God for giving me the gift of music, and especially a love for gospel music. And I'm so grateful that he led me to Jack Taylor, the world's greatest piano teacher. Absolutely. And I'm grateful for all the wonderful singers I've had the chance to play for through the years. A lot of the legends and my heroes, just never dreamed I would get to play for some of those folks. I have to tell you about a few of them. A few times I called home after gospel singings and I told Bruce, if I died tonight and go on, it's okay. Guess who I played for? And one of them, of course, was Jay Cass. The first time I played for him, me playing for a statesman, oh my word. Got to play for Cheryl Nielsen to sing Sweet Jesus. Doesn't get any better than that. With Jack Toney in the background group, another statesman. Got to play for the Weatherfords. That was a call home moment, believe me, after that was over. Got to play for Jim Hill to sing What a Day That Will Be, one of my favorite songs. Got to play for Jim Murray to sing Oh Holy Night back in the early 60s when we were all in church together in Oak Cliff. Never been sung prettier. And I'm sure Larry and Sharon were there that night, weren't you? And then one of the great thrills was getting to play Till the Storm Passes By while Mosey Lister told the story of how he wrote it. Oh my goodness. That was another call home moment, believe me. But I've had a couple of times that were not call home moments. And I'm going to tell you about two of them real fast. One of them my sisters just love. When I was a 14-year-old piano player at the church, this elderly saint died, and they were going to have her funeral at the church. And I'd never seen the woman before in my life, didn't know her or her family. But we had a little converted theater into a church, and the casket, like here's the piano, there's the casket, and there's the family. Closer than these people are, probably. Well, I guess the message got to me more than it got to the family, because pretty soon I was bawling my eyes out. And it was very embarrassing. I don't think the family was crying. I didn't have a Kleenex. I was just weeping and wailing over this person I had never seen before. That was kind of embarrassing. But my moment of glory happened. I'm probably the only person who ever completely destroyed the Sunday night service at First Baptist Dallas. I played down there fairly often on Sunday night when the family group I played for was singing. I'd just go ahead and play for the service. Well, they used to do what they would call testimony and song. And this huge choir of 200 or so would start singing, "This is my story, this is my song, praise my Savior," all the day long. When they got to long, they held it a very long time, real high, really pretty. And then 2 or 3 people would come up and do solos, and then they would close out with the rest of Blessed Assurance. Well, I had my solos down, had the keys, we'd gone over all that, that was all great. But Gary Moore, the choir leader, we forgot that the piano kicked it off. And he hadn't given me any instructions on how to start. So he raises this choir 200 strong up, and he looks at me and he nods. I don't have a clue. And he nods again. And I don't know why the organist didn't bail me out, because they knew what was supposed to happen. Well, I made a huge mistake. I hit a chord. It was not the right chord. And this choir starts trying to sing, "This is my story, this is my song." Every one of the 200 were in a different key. Every one. And a few of the brave sopranos went all the way to the end to the word long. Every one of them were on a different high note. And finally, Gary just did cut them off. And they laughed for probably 3 or 4 minutes. I'm not teasing. And then they start clapping. And then the guy that got up to make the announcements in a minute said, probably the only time I've ever gotten up to make announcements when it sounded better than what just happened. Thank goodness Dr. Criswell was out of town. It was Dr. Patterson. But, Gary was gracious and he took the blame, but I'll never forget that. So if I ever start feeling a little proud, I just remember First Baptist and it brings me right back down to earth. But I have to say, I'm grateful for all those singers, but last but not least, I'm grateful for a mother and daddy that thought I had talent and a great sacrifice to themselves when Daddy was terminally ill and we were really struggling financially. They found a way to pay for piano lessons. And then after Daddy died when I was 13, my mother still found a way to pay for piano lessons. So this would be very pleasing to them tonight. Thank you.
When he reached down